Yeah, and like you said, it starts at the top, and that's the big thing as far as that spark and that change. And that's why we both so adamantly believe that, I mean, a changing of the guard is necessary. We were just talking off air, and I mean, people have seen it on social media at this point. But I put out a clip, from the podcast or whatever Monday, and to me, the Will Muschamp era is officially over. In my mind, in the mind of most fans, it is over. This thing is done. Fans have lost hope. They've lost any semblance of confidence that this thing could turn around, will turn around, is headed in any sort of positive trajectory. I mean, again, you're seeing what exactly happened after you beat Georgia last year. It's happening right again this year.
Yeah.
You beat Auburn. You feel like maybe there's a glimmer of hope. You have something to build off of, and you've gotten absolutely – I mean, I didn't think it could get much worse in regards to how embarrassed I was leaving Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge. I didn't think you could lose worse than that necessarily. And damn it, did you just outdo everything I thought was possible against Texas A&M with that performance? My biggest takeaway from Saturday night, Alex, is I really think Will Muschamp has lost this football team. That was the only takeaway I could leave that game with when you have 2 weeks to get ready and you display that type of performance that we saw on the field. There's been a lot of chatter, obviously a lot of swirling rumors, and I think they were all kind of wishful thinking, wishful rumors, if you will. Nothing obviously has happened as we talk again here on a Monday afternoon. For me, it's buyout be damned. I don't believe, and I know we've both talked, and from other people I've talked to, if South Carolina really wants to buy this man out and they're really sick and tired and they're really ready to pull the plug and make that decision, I think they can do it. It's easier said than done. I know that you got to figure out how you're going to pay that $13 million, but I have to imagine, from hearing the rumors that I've heard, Alex, of the board of trustee has been having Zoom meetings. And again, like we joked, they're not talking about their round of golf over the weekend. They're talking about the head coaching status of their head coach of their university. And I've heard other things as well. You've seen names floating around from Hugh Freeze to Shane Beamer to Billy Napier. And, obviously we'll talk about that in just a second, but it seems like for the first time in a while, the chatter's been there, the fire Muschamp, but it seems like the first time that I've seen in a while or whatever that I think the wheels are seriously turning. Like I think the powers that be at USC are kind of like enough is enough here. And I think it's just if it gives me, if nothing else, to think if South Carolina keeps losing football games, Will Muschamp will not see it to 2021. Again, COVID-19, pandemic, economics, buyout be damned. There's just no way he's going to be back as South Carolina's head coach in 2021 at this rate, in my opinion.
No, I mean, I don't think so. Because I know we've been on this train for a while, but there was a lot of people out there, you got to give him 5 years, the buyout's too much. And then you go through last year after the Georgia game, and you fall off a cliff. Same thing's happening here. You hit the low point, or at least in my opinion, last year, losing at home to App State.
Yeah.
Now you just lost by 45 at home. And so like all that kind of builds into this. And, we've talked about on the pod before, even though we owe him this money, it's not like you're cutting him that check. You're
exactly. Yep.
It's spacing that out. We got plenty of lawyers on the board of directors who could litigate this thing into eternity and cut that substantially in half. So, it's just, that's what you have to do, because I don't think anybody's left that thinks this is the right direction for the program or the right things are happening.
Do you think there's any possibility? Is there any scenario where Will Muschamp and USC would come together and agree on a lesser buyout? Do you think Will Muschamp?
Oh yeah.
You think that could happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was talking to a buddy about that, and because I was thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what, we're seeing it and viewing it and consuming it from our end. Hey, maybe Will Muschamp behind closed doors is miserable too, because hey, losing is not fun. I don't give a darn how much money you're making or whatever. Losing takes a toll on you, and it's not fun. And I mean, Will Muschamp at this point, I don't think he's got a friend in Columbia, bro. I mean, just call it for what it is. I mean, I know it's harsh. I know that's harsh, but I'm just saying, like, you understand what I'm saying as far as the way people feel about him and the way he's directed this program. So I wonder if there would be a scenario, again, like I said, where they would come together and maybe he does take a reduced buyout just to say, you know what, it's not working out. I'm going to take what I can get right now and be done with it.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think that both parties would come to that agreement. In reality, it'll probably end up being something where like, Here's our army of attorneys.
Mm,
We're going to fight you on this
yeah.
unless you do this."
Yeah, my buddy joked with me. He's like, "Yeah, I think that'd be the honorable thing to do." And I'm like, "You think Will Muschamp's a man of honor?" That's not the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of Will Muschamp. I want to ask you this though. Let's say South kind of goes throughout the rest of this season. Let's say they lose out, or they finish 3-7, which I think both of those are the most realistic and very possible scenarios. I feel like, and I don't really know 100% what your feelings are on Bob Castelli. I mean, he's the president. It's kind of whatever. It is what it is. You hire a new president. Oh, well. Anyways, though, to me, after hearing everything Bob Castelli has said when he got hired and over the last year, and about the expectations of, he's a big sports guy. The expectations of the football program. We want to beat Clemson. We want to win the games we're supposed to win. We want to compete for titles, blah, blah, blah. If you go 2-8 or 3-7, or really in any scenario, and you don't make this move, I look at Bob Castelli as a bit of a hypocrite. And again, that's harsh, but you can't just that lip service that does nothing for me if you're not willing to make the changes necessary to improve the football program. Because it's like we've talked before, man. You can talk about the buyout. How can they afford it? How can they afford it? If things continue to go the way they're going, if you continue to lose games, and again, you finish, let's say 2-8 or 3-7, I almost feel you can't afford not to make the move for the long term ramifications and effects it's going to have on your program. Because, hey, I got to go tour Williams-Brice Stadium. I got to see some of the club levels. The 2001 club, they want $14,000 a year. $14,000 a year for those seats. Who on God's green earth is paying $14,000 a year of their hard-earned money if you go 2-8 or 3-7 and you bring Will Muschamp back for a 6th year? And everyone knows at that point the only reason he's back is because of a buyout, which is a terrible place to be at as a program.
And like if you think through it, especially from Caslin's perspective, I mean, he was in a tough spot to begin with just because of everything that happened with him coming in as the president.
Yeah. So it was kind of a weird, it was kind of an interesting scenario when he got the job or whatever. Yeah.
Suffice it to say, it was not the most popular choice. So,
right.
I think he walked into something that he was going to have to walk on eggshells. So, I think ultimately he has to make that call. I think the bigger question really in this whole thing is what happens to Ray Tanner.
Right.
You hear anything on that front?
No, nothing on that front. I mean, I know it's I'll tell you this though, because here's the biggest thing. And I know people want Ray Tanner fired. I mean, I totally understand that. I'm not saying he shouldn't be, whatever. But the one thing you can't do is look for a head coach and a new AD at the same time, because people want to know who they're going to work for. You know what I mean? There aren't many head coaches that are going to sign up to be like, I don't even know who my boss is. So if it comes down between, hey, we either you got to pick one or the other. Either we can wait till a point where we can fire both and go from there, and it might be a little while, or we're just going to keep Ray Tanner as AD, but we're going to get rid of Will Muschamp. Keep Ray Tanner as the AD, bro. I don't give a damn. Just don't let Ray Tanner be the main say or the main hand in, number one, finding the new head coach, and number two, organizing or structuring his new contract, because obviously they failed miserably at that the first time with Will Muschamp with this preposterous buyout they have. So let Bob Castelli lead the way. I had somebody ask me that too. Do you trust Bob Castelli in regards to finding the next new head football coach? Well, I don't think at first he's going to have to do it on his own. I would like to think when you're in that position of power, he's going to be able to surround himself with 4 or 5 people. They're going to be able to sit at a table like, hey, let's all kind of figure this out together. Let's make the best decision together. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's going to be a thing where he's got to do it on his own. But I think certainly at some point they're going to encourage strongly Ray Tanner to step down, because he is a Gamecock legend. I don't think they would fire him. And dude, his number is literally on the fence at Founders Park. I think he deserves a statue outside the baseball stadium. And you
100% agree.
Can't fire. I'm just saying you can't fire that guy. Like that's a tough look. That's a tough look to fire the all-time probably most legendary head coach in your school's history amongst the big 3 of the sports. But
but they wouldn't fire him. It would be
no. That's what I'm saying. A mutual like, hey, we want to move a different direction. Like, could you step down? Just step down. Just
please.
Let's play. Yeah,
please, we beg of you.
Let's play it off as that. So, Again, I think it's going to come back to Castleton. I'm going to be looking directly at Castleton. We've heard a lot of rumors. I don't think, obviously, I think you and I both agree this thing's not over. And especially if you keep losing football games. And Alex, I'm going to say this on the airwaves, and I said it on the Monday show, and I want people, when they hear this, to have an open mind, but I want to run this by you. We're all Gamecock fans. We all want to see this team on Saturdays. When it gets to Saturday, for example, this weekend at 7:30 against Ole Miss, I'm going to be pulling for South Carolina. I'm going to be pulling for the Gamecocks to get the win. But if you can take a step back and, again, have an open mind, you'll realize if you truly do care about this football program and you care about the long-term success, results like Saturday night are honestly the best thing that could happen at this point. It's a short-term loss for a long-term gain. That's really what it is at this point.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Look, I think I made this joke on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, but it's just like Old Yeller. Like, you love the dog, you don't want the dog to suffer, so you got to do something bad in the dog's best interests.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's the same thing.
Oh,
and
that's
so,
true.
yeah, I mean, like you've got, if losing at home to App State wasn't enough to do it,
yeah,
what we've seen the last 3 weeks should be enough to do it. And, if that's what gets us back being able to compete on that level again, then that's the best thing for the program.
Yeah.
It sucks for the kids, and it sucks for the players who are putting in like all of this work.
Yeah. Because I mean, you know firsthand what they're going through. I mean,
100%.
Yeah.
And it's awful. Because it's hard to keep pushing yourself and stay motivated and all that jazz while you're getting, just curb stomped on the field every weekend. And like, that sucks. But at the end of the day, like, they're not getting what they need. And so we need to get that to them, or the university needs to get that to them. And, results like Saturday night expedite that process. And so if that's what has to happen, that's what has to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 110%. Again, it's tough for me to say that what I just said, obviously, about the what's best for the program, because like you said, I feel for the players. Like I really do feel for the players, and I don't want to wish that. I'll tell you this though, Alex, and I said this on the Monday show. I'm not pulling for South Carolina to lose, but I had a toast. I was at the tailgate Saturday, which it was a blast. Great day for football, great weather day, whatever. A lot of tailgates in Columbia, believe it or not. And I had a toast at a tailgate. I was like, here we go. All right. Cheers to either a South Carolina victory or we're getting one step closer to a new head football coach. And that's kind of the way I'm approaching every single game from here on out. It's like, hey, you know what? If we win, great. If we lose, great. There are positives on both sides.